Initiating launch sequence.
SkyRocket Sessions with myself and Dimitri. And today we get into episode 2 of our series about HR. And we've invited a special guest to the proceedings, the Braintree Head of People, Angela McMean.
Welcome, everybody, and welcome, Angela. What a pleasure to have you with us. We were hoping that you could share with us some valuable insight into the life of a people manager so that our audience could feel more comfortable in having conversations with their clients around HR and understand how it makes your life easier.
Thanks so much for inviting me, guys. It's great to be here. You know, people are the essence of a business, so it's absolutely vital that we all have systems that support our most valuable assets.
Great stuff. So that's awesome, and I'm looking forward to this with you, Angela. So just to recap, last week we tried to unpack whether or not HR systems are merely just tools to process people, you know, the same way accounting packages process numbers, right? Or if the current HR packages in the market actually make it easier to be an employee in an organization. But Dimitri, what about an HR manager's life? I mean, haven't you ever wondered how, like, Angela's life maybe is made easier by these kinds of systems?
Sure, Gareth, I have indeed. But, you know, I've also always wondered what there was before HR tools. I mean, Angela, can you give us some insight as to what things were like before HR systems? You know, like D365, HR, or Verde. You know, what is the worst case scenario out there? And the reason I'm asking is that once we understand what some of these problems are, our customers are potentially struggling with, we will have a far easier job trying to get across the value of an integrated HR tool to our audience.
Absolutely. And, you know, as an HR manager, the worst thing that could ever happen in our lives is to have an employee leave. And I think one of the important things for us to look at in this discussion is to have a look and see, why is it that people leave organizations? And, you know, maybe a lot of you can relate that back to your customers or to friends that you know that have gone through a similar kind of scenario. And then how having an HR system can really alleviate a lot of those reasons as to why people leave. So we'll just briefly go and have a look at this. These aren't reasons that I've come up with myself. If you have a look on the bottom of the screen, there is a link to an article that was released from LinkedIn earlier this year, which is really cool because it's up-to-date information post-COVID and all of the trauma that that people have gone through over this time. So the first one of those reasons is that people have insufficient pay or unfair pay practices. And I think a lot of you can agree. You know, you might hear from your friends who say they're not being paid on time. They're being paid commissions that they maybe don't understand where it comes from, or they don't know what's on their salary, or are they paying tax, or they might only find out after they've been retrenched that they've never actually paid UIF before. So it's those kind of practices. And then a lack of honesty, integrity, and ethics. I mean, many people and people I interviewed today are much more focused on ethics and on integrity in a business, far over anything else, such as money or growth. And, you know, that ties in with people have a lack of trust in their senior managers. They may not always feel like their senior managers really invest in them as a person, and that they're only really interested in the bottom line of an organization. And then something that's, you know, just so important post-COVID is really just caring about people. And, you know, we've all been through so much over the last few years, and people have started to really suffer in as far as, you know, mental wellness goes as well. So here, looking at how we treat each other, knowing that as a manager, I mean, I'm an awesome manager, but I definitely can't do the work by myself. So I really need to rely on my team and my people and bringing the best out of them and making sure they're growing and that they can see that we're caring about them. And then the lack of work-life balance. And, you know, this is something that's also come in very strongly over the last post-COVID time. You know, during lockdown, people started working from home. And, you know, according to the study, they discovered two things. And I mean, this is just so relevant with our staff as well today, is that the first thing they discovered is that they really enjoyed working from home. And the second thing is that they were as productive and if not more productive working from home. And so there is, even though we're working from home, there is kind of this work-life balance of when do I switch off? You know, I am available all the time. And are people noticing that? So if we look at those as being the reasons why people leave, let's have a look at what we can do in order to retain people. So the first part of that goes around our company policies. Now, here, people want a system where they know they can go to see all of the company policies that are at play. So it might be like your employee handbooks, and those handbooks have instructions on how we behave, you know, how you and how your manager is expected to behave. It's got our asset policies, our leave policies, job descriptions. You know, in Verde, we've also got like a gift policy. And so all of those policies do help to keep, you know, the ethics and the understanding of how we run a business in place. And the next one is around fair payment practices. So yes, we want a system that's going to, you know, make sure we're paying our staff correctly, that we are following all the governance and as far as tax and UIF goes, that, you know, we all know what medical aid plan we're on and what our contributions are to that. And then also from a management perspective, over and above a payroll system, is we also want some stats to be able to see, you know, the grade of each individuals and, you know, the salary bands of those, and checking, you know, if people working at a junior level or intermediate level, that they are all in with, you know, within those same kind of salary bands. And then from a, you know, from a work-life balance, a lot of HR systems have time tracking where people can record the time that they've worked. Obviously, this then becomes visible to the manager. So it's one thing for a staff member to say, you know, I'm working overtime, I'm working all of these hours, but it's difficult unless that can really be tracked and, you know, that we've got a record of it. And then obviously in systems, it's so important that we've got a place to keep our performance reviews, our career planning, our succession planning, our KPIs, and that we're always going back to look at those again. So when you're in a performance management with your manager makes certain commitments to you, and, you know, having a record of this and having it all kept in a place where we can all have access to it, make sure that you're able to go back and review this and, you know, see what promises you made and what promise your manager made, and make sure that these are always aligned. And then as far as asset management goes, really cool for systems to have a way for us to track our employees, who's got what equipment. You know, even on Verde, we track our vehicle, the vehicles being allocated to people as well. And then from a care perspective, something we're really big on in Braintree is employee surveys. So we do have a system that we use that we put out to do surveys. So important that that's part of our integrated HR solution, so that we keep having a connection with our staff and making sure that our staff are happy, and if not, that we, you know, we understand where it is that we're lacking so that we can really work on this. And if you think of a smaller type organization, I mean, obviously a bigger organization may have all of these systems in place, but a smaller type organization, maybe of 20 or 30 people, they may be able to manage all of these by using various different systems, and maybe even on Excel or even paper-based systems. You know, back in the day, we would have a big filing cabinet with hanging files in there for each one of our staff members. And if you had to go and find out how much leave someone's taken, you'll be like rummaging through a filing cabinet, finding the person and, you know, going through heaps of papers. So we've evolved a lot, obviously, since those days. But the system that we use can really address all of those issues to help us with our retention of staff as well.
So I don't think I've ever seen one of those filing cabinets, and quite frankly, I don't think I want to. I mean, if you look at all of these living and breathing parts of a business and of the people in the business, it couldn't be worth it to put it all into an Excel spreadsheet and then still have paperwork and filing cabinets on top of that.
No, it's crazy. And, you know, you look at a company the size of Vox. I mean, Vox as a business with, you know, more than 2,400 people, these are not things that a company can manage on paper or on Excel. There's just absolutely no ways. And, you know, even if you look at HR systems beyond staff retention, you know, something that just keeps ringing in my mind is when we had the company update session with Jacques last week, and he raised in that session and he showed the various businesses and what we anticipate their revenue growth to be over the next 10 years. But along with the revenue growth, he also showed the people growth. And that's literally quite an eye-opener when you have a look at how some of the companies within Vox are planning to grow with such an upward spiral. So for me, what's essential in an HR solution as well is that we can constantly keep track of all the CVs that we're receiving in, of the people we've interviewed before, some notes about them, why were they rejected? Are there people we can come back and look at again? So that we're building up this database. And what it means at any point then, we're able to refer back to that database if new positions become available. And, at least we've got the starting point, the starting blocks from that.
Sure, that is extremely interesting. So, I mean, HR is not just about running the business, but it's also about enabling growth to a degree. And I mean, if you've got the right system in place, it's almost like having a CRM, but for HR and specifically recruitment. Awesome insights, Angela. Thank you.
For sure, and if you think of, talking about the performance appraisals, there's things like training and training programs and making sure your staff have accessibility to see what training programs there are, or what the expectations are from them, and then tick off as they go through those systems. And being able to have the tracking back to the CVs and to people really does save a business a lot of money. I mean, right now the recruitment fees can be astronomical for a business. So you want to make sure you can quickly and efficiently employ people as and when you need them.
Sure. I mean, that in itself is a huge value. Looking at what 20% of a new start salary and fees, they can get expensive, especially if you need people now for growth. Often you don't find yourself with a whole bunch of choice. So, I mean, our listeners should definitely put that through to their customers.
100%, 100%. Yeah, Angela, I'm just listening to some of the things you're saying, and it's just, the value should definitely be landing with the audience, and we really appreciate all your insights. This next question is for you again, Angela. So in which other ways would you say that an HR system helps you be a better people manager?
I think having all that information at your fingertips and not having to delve through through heaps of paper or through lots of emails, or going through Excel, that you can really be putting in some filters into your system, and the system constantly providing that information to you. So it's the efficiency of being able to get information, and then obviously that just saves time and money.
100%. So looking at the data across all employees and being able to draw reports, and looking at things like absenteeism and attrition across the business, monitoring trends across departments. I mean, that's got to be huge value for any manager. I mean, I actually didn't realize until I joined the software business how important it was, how important reporting was for business leaders. That's all they really need is, I need the data to be able to help me make decisions and to be able to run my business better, right? So what about employee wellness? I mean, that's a huge trend at the moment as well, right?
It absolutely is. So at Braintree, we use a third-party product for that. It's also integrated into Teams, and I've heard some good news about being looked at being included in Verde as well. And this is just so cool, because this is a survey that goes out on a weekly basis to all of our staff, and it allows the staff as well as the managers to look at the outcome of those results. So, if me as a person is feeling overwhelmed and I've scored something low, I can always go back in and see, oh, I was the only person that scored that low, or I am amongst a whole group of people that, that feel the same. And it gives every company the opportunity to really improve based on those stats and to celebrate.
Awesome. So, Angela, what would you say the takeaways would be from this session?
I think definitely looking at the holistic HR flow that we do. So, by making sure we are employing the right staff at the right time within a business, that we're onboarding them, that we're training them, that they understand what it is that they're doing, they know where to find all of the information that they need, and then making sure that they stay with the business. So, I mean, that's vital. We don't want to lose staff. I mean, they are our most valuable asset. We want to hold on to them for dear life. And then obviously being efficient and being able to reduce the costs of a business moving forward.
Awesome.
Sure. Angela, thank you so much for your valuable insights. It's been really useful to chat and find out just a little bit more about how HR works and how we can help sell it to our customers.
Fantastic. I really enjoyed today's session, and the insights were really good, Angela. So thank you very, very much.
Thanks, my pleasure.
Guys, tune in for next week where we discuss just a few more details around the various options within HR, and we bring this sort of mini series to a close. Again, Angela, thank you very much. Dimitri, thank you very much. You look amazing today. Tune in next week. Stay safe, stay lekker, sell hard. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.